Firing Line with William F. Buckley, Jr. The CDC Director, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, has recently announced her plans to shake things up at her agency, reviewing critical errors that had been made at the beginning, focusing only on the beginning of the current public health crisis before her term, and proposing a reorganization of the structure and reporting system to better enable that public health agency to be able to confront potential public health crises and pandemics in the future. And according to WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, COVID-19 is nowhere near over, as the number of coronavirus cases reported went up 30% in the last 2 weeks as new versions of the Omicron variant of the virus sweep across the globe and mitigation measures are being set aside that had once, particularly by Democratic governors, embraced these clinical protocols as urgently necessary to mitigate and prevent the spread of a raging pandemic following the science and common sense, as it were, which abrupt departure, however, has been the cause of considerable consternation, confusion, and concern to many Americans, including Democrat and progressive voters, while data compiled by the New York Times shows that worldwide new COVID-19 cases have climbed to a daily average of nearly 900,000, while the daily average of deaths from the virus is at 1,685. A 12% increase over the past 14 days, with the American average daily death count at 786, or about 47% of the daily deaths worldwide, where we lead the world in fatalities, even though the virus originated in China with a population of 1 billion. The largest population of any country in the world. And amidst this rather chaotic and sordid affair, the most recent reports are that Dr. Anthony Fauci, who has led the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases since 1984, and who became the public face of the government's response to the coronavirus pandemic, according to the Washington Post, the nation's preeminent infectious disease expert, who achieved unprecedented fame while enduring what are described as withering political attacks as the face of the coronavirus pandemic response under 2 presidents, plans to step down in December after more than a half-century of public service as the most highly compensated federal employee, and with quite a sizable retirement to look forward to, departing at this critical time, just after his recent infection from a virus that he has admitted on previous occasions had fooled us before. Unlike Dr. Benjamin Spock, the author of the bestseller Baby and Child Care, who was fairly well known to anyone who had had a baby or had been fairly recently a baby, which takes in most of us, and had redirected his focus from medicine, his profession, to dedicate his time and his signature to protesting the war in Vietnam, and a lot of other things to include our foreign policy, and who had advanced the position that the threat to our children from nuclear annihilation is 1,000 times greater than all the dangers from the usual children's diseases. Dr. Anthony Fauci, on the other hand, has expressed no particular interest in foreign military policies and the recent conflicts in the Ukraine, but has rather been prolific in its advocacy regarding the imminent threat of emerging diseases, even most recently proposing a focused effort to develop pre-vaccines for the 20 most common human virus threats, and only virus threats that might become the next pandemic. A debatable proposition with which I have repeatedly taken issue for good cause. And so while I would very much like to commence this discussion by positing the question as to whether the esteemed Dr. Anthony Fauci carries in his head a comparison of the number of people who have died during this century from disease in contrast to those who have died not from war but from persecution. For instance, the 6 million Jewish dead in Nazi Germany, whose number a novel coronavirus has exceeded in only 2 years, half the time required by Adolf Hitler during the Holocaust. I'd like first to pose the continuing debate question that had remained in the background of the public health crisis regarding the origins of this novel coronavirus, which had even become the topic, I believe, of an Intelligence Committee report.
This advertisement was authorized by Mike Webb.